Well, good morning, guys. I'm having a fantastic start to my day because I got some amazing notes and emails from some former students of mine that are seeing some results actually in their sync licensing careers, actually getting placements and sometimes major placements. So I want to share just two of those with you today. I actually get these a lot. I don't share them all the time because I feel like it'd kind of get maybe a little bit boring on my channel if that's just kind of what I'm doing is sharing with you student testimonials. But just know that this is a fairly common morning for me. I get a lot of these emails for people, former students that are saying that what I've taught them has actually gotten them real results, real placements, and real progress in their sync licensing career in whatever trajectory they're going in. Now, of course, it's not what I did that got them these results. It's what they did. It's what you guys are doing. It's your hard work and your dedication and your perseverance that's going to have you see results like this. Now, the first one I want to share with you, I wanted to share because it's an example of why you should be celebrating your wins, no matter how big or small. Because I've shared this concept a few times on my channel, but if you're in the beginning stages of your sync licensing career, maybe you're in the first year, second year, probably aren't seeing money yet, probably aren't seeing royalties yet. And so you're kind of running short of things to celebrate. You're like, well, what do I get excited about? I have a lot of hope and optimism, but what am I going to pat myself on the back for? Sometimes you need to just pat yourself on the back for the fact that you are creating music and maybe you're getting accepted into a library, or maybe you're just putting together your first album and you finally completed that album. Or if you got accepted to a library and you're constantly building up your catalog, you need to celebrate the fact that you're being productive and continuously building up your catalog and creating a stronger relationship network with your libraries. So you need to look. Sometimes it's hard to see it. It's not obvious, but you need to sometimes take a little step back from what you're doing and realize you do have a lot of things to celebrate. And that's what this first email is all about. This one's from Michael Johnson. I love that he titled this one Small Start. But he's celebrating it, and I celebrate it with him. And Michael, I'm really, really excited for you, and I'm glad that you reached out and let me know about this. And he did give me permission to share this with you guys. So I want to just go through his email, and hopefully this gives you guys a little bit of an encouraging note for this morning, okay? Not sure if you remember me. I do. I left for a while, but came back a year later. I just want to let you know that even though I haven't made it big yet, it was through your platform that got me placed on several TV shows. Small beginnings, but like you said many times, it can take a while to see any rewards for your work. Yeah, and small beginnings is where we all start. That's the really important part of this video I want you guys to all take away from. I had very small beginnings. Michael's having small beginnings. Everybody that I know that does this full time starts off with very small beginnings. That means you're on the journey. That means you're on the track. That means you're on your way to doing something amazing in this industry. So just know wherever you are, your small beginnings or your small wins, those are worth celebrating. Those are worth definitely giving yourself a pat on the back for. My first BMI check might only be $45, but it gives me inspiration to move forward and do more. Hey, Michael, my first BMI check, well, actually it was ASCAP. My first ASCAP check was 14 cents. So you're doing a lot better than I did at the very beginning. So if you want to compare our starting places, you're doing a hell of a lot better than I was, but I get it. You're still at the beginning, and $45 is not the end for you. That's where you start. But what I want to just highlight for this is that for those of you that are maybe looking at that and thinking like, well, what's the big deal? $45, can't pay bills. That's nothing to get excited about. One thing that I remember when I got my first royalty check, that was literally 14 cents, is I remember having this feeling of, but it's working, right? Something I did, some music I created, sent off to these companies, and it landed in a TV show, and I actually got royalties from it. Wow, it's like the pipeline has been connected. That's kind of the feeling I got. Like it's actually working. So I guess if I continuously keep pushing my music through this pipeline, more and more of these royalties will come out the other end. And sure enough, that's what happened as the years went on. So just know, Michael, you are on your journey to do that, okay? Those are only a few 15-second spots. I'll share some of the pics of the show names, and hopefully folks can see that this isn't as hard as they might think. I wish I hadn't taken the 1 year off of music, but I did it for personal matters. And that's okay, Michael. A lot of sync licensing producers do this. Like for you, it might have been a personal issue for whatever reason, but for a lot of sync licensing producers, you guys will get excited. You'll be in here for about a year or two. You'll be cranking out tons of music. You won't see the royalties or the money until you'll think, it's not working. I'm failing. I got to go do something else, and you'll bail. And it might be the next royalty check a year later, sometimes 2 years later, and suddenly something pops and you start getting your royalties and you get some placements. And then producers come running back into sync licensing, realizing, oh my gosh, I didn't know, but I had, $1,000 or $3,000 come in royalties. I really wish I would have just kept going, and I didn't know that was around the corner. And I get it. It's like if we could have a crystal ball and look into the future, then of course you would never take time off. But we don't know when that moment's going to come for every single sync licensing producer. That's why I've always said the long-term mindset is really the only cure for that. Is you have to constantly believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing is actually working, having strong relationships with libraries, right? Seeing those sort of like promising signs before those royalties come in, okay? Also, I must say that I've been a member of many other groups and education platforms, but yours is the only one that has shown true benefit to me. Now that was like, phew, arrow right in my heart. That was just such a really cool thing for him to say. And I really, really appreciate that, Michael. And that's what my passion is. And when I started my channel and, you know, all of the stuff that I do back in 2016, I really wanted to stand out and do something a little different, because what I saw from a lot of other offerings out there from people that were talking about it was that they weren't equipping producers with the tools like the fishing pole to go fish for themselves. I saw a lot of them kind of saying, you know, here, we're going to kind of give you the opportunities, or we're going to try to shop your music for you, or we're going to do something on your behalf, right? And I get it, for some producers or musicians, maybe that's what they want. And, you know, they don't want to basically, you know, go directly and build these direct relationships. But when I put my stuff together, I said, I think there's a large number of producers and musicians out there that don't want to be kind of spoon-fed this stuff, or they don't want to like sort of have somebody shopping their music for them, but they want to go directly pitch and create relationships with these companies. And if they don't know that they can, I think that's actually, here's the bigger issue. I think a lot of producers before I came around didn't know they could. Like they didn't know that like literally a library has an email address and a phone number. You can literally call them. You can email them. You can actually just reach out to these people. They're very available. They have basically kind of an open submission policy for the vast majority of them. A lot of people did not know that. And so when I started coming out and saying this stuff, it really kind of perked people's ears up of like, oh, I didn't know that literally it's just a matter of doing my research and getting their contact info and creating a direct relationship. And so I love hearing this kind of stuff, because it shows me that that is an approach that really has been very helpful for him, at least for Michael. And here's some of his placements there that he wanted to show off to me. So, and again, yeah, these are great, man. I know that you're saying that you're at your start, you're at your, you know, sort of beginning stages here, and you're kind of still waiting for your larger placements and more notable placements. But you look at my royalties, man, I have tons of shows, you know, especially even in the early days, very, very small, low rating shows. And it's okay, because it's where I started. And basically as time went on, that those shows started to grow, or those placements on those shows started to grow. I got more and more of them. And then my placements went into more notable places, and in more, you know, higher rated places, and in more prominent featured placements. So you start wherever you start. And the fact that you are seeing this work means that your pipe is connected. Okay. The pipeline for you putting your music into your, you know, your library's hands, partners' hands is actually working, and you're seeing the results. So that's really amazing. Now I'm going to pop over and show you guys one more note that I got. So here's the second note I want to share with you guys. This is actually one of the original Syndicate members from back in 2017. This is Justin Rogacki. He actually just posted this on Instagram, and he kind of tagged me on it, and I was just blown away. I was like, wow. I was just amazed to see how far he's come. Of course, I remember you guys. Some of you guys emailed me like, hey, I was your student a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember me. I'm like, I do remember names. I do remember you guys. So just know that. And Justin just posted this. I want to kind of go through this really cool post he made, and to show you also a little bit of wisdom that he's sharing with you guys about sometimes getting professional feedback and criticism on your music, which is what I was doing in the Syndicate a lot, but why it helped him out. So I want to just share this with you real quick. And he did get this placement. It was on, I think it was like a featurette, or like an extras feature of the Wakanda Forever program going on with Disney Plus. I asked the universe, how the F do I get my music on TV shows, movies, and commercials? I realized the average consumer was done paying for music when all we need is a $9.99 a month subscription to access the entirety of mankind's music at our fingertips. So I'm asking myself, how can I still be successful with my music if I'm not famous? It's a really good question. A lot of artists and bands and musicians ask that question. It seems to me that certain major brands still had a need for music and an actual budget for it. So I started asking around, researching, digging, looking for the clues. Nobody knew anything. Then one day in a Barnes & Noble magazine section, I noticed one of the music magazine's titles say something like production music. The major players in the production music talk about music licensing in the 21st century. I took notes. Then one day, this is where he found me. Then one day, frustrated with my current career, I kept searching for something else, and I find a video course from a guy that seems to know what he was talking about. I sign up, take a risk. Then that gentleman ended up being my mentor for the next 2 years through a Facebook group he formed. When I started the syndicate, we were actually 100% just on Facebook, where he gave constructive criticism on getting music to be more licensable. That was tough. Okay, producer boot camp for reals. That S pissed me off and made me want to quit at times, but in the end, it made me better because it pushed me way beyond my comfort zone of just making the beats that I liked. This is what's really, really powerful about what he's saying. And this is something that we do in pro feedback now, is give you guys professional criticism and feedback on what you're doing in terms of how to make it better. I do know that sometimes that's a big, tough pill to swallow. But my approach with what I do here is to be honest with you guys and tell you if your music is not ready, it's not working, I'm going to tell you that, okay? And that's what I was telling Justin. I was saying, I was pushing him. I was saying, you can do better. You can do better. You can do better. That's essentially what I was telling him for 2 years. And I know after a while you get really tired of hearing that because you're like, I am doing my best. I can't do better. Sure enough, you can. Okay. So that's what he noticed, is that it kind of pushed him out of his comfort zone. And I think what he's really describing here is he was getting out of his own head. A lot of producers are kind of drinking their own Kool-Aid, thinking they got nothing to improve. Everything they're doing is amazing and awesome, and people should just really appreciate their music and what they're doing just because they think it's amazing. I felt the same way when I first got out in sync licensing, and now I listen to those tracks and I'm like, wow, I had a lot of work to go. But you couldn't have told me that back then. I was just so naive and young and didn't know anything. So having that humility to realize that there could be improvements that can happen, especially if somebody knows what they're talking about and can help you get to that next level, it can put you there. And that's exactly what happened for him. So fast forward to now, 6 years later, and one of my songs is being used in a freaking Marvel movie. Well, not the actual film, but getting close, real close. Just look at the extra section for Envisioning Two Worlds, which comes out tomorrow on February 1st. So this is just for last week. Disney Plus, and then it's on DVD on February 7th. So Justin, I'm stoked for you, man. That's really, really amazing, and I'm happy that you're still sticking with it. That's always really cool to hear some of my former students that are still going for it and actually still putting their music out there and starting to see some amazing things pay off for them. So I hope you guys found this useful or motivational and encouraging. That's really the biggest thing, and I really appreciate you guys being a part of this amazing channel and this cool community that we've created here together.